Good morning, relayers. We had to find the one hotel in the country that matched the theme of our meeting. This is the only hotel I have ever been at that when you check in, they put a map in front of you and then they draw your path. It takes 5 minutes. Now, mind you, they're not drawing a path to your room. They're drawing a path to the elevator near your room. Like D-374. And if you can get to that, you're within like a quarter mile of your room. They call that spitting distance here. I ran into a couple Rotarians last night that came in here last year for a conference. They're still here. So as of 9 a.m. this morning, the American Cancer Society has instituted its official buddy system. What that means is when you go to a breakout, a bathroom, a bar, you bring a buddy. We got in, we can get out. I'm glad you got to hear from Gordy. We were up there about a month ago filming him. You could tell that the chemo treatments were just beating him down. He was very focused. You could tell he was trying to connect with people and share his story. We got done filming him. He ran upstairs to try to convince his wife, Lou, to let him come here to Summit. But he's having surgery this month, so it probably wasn't the wisest thing to do to travel, but he wanted me to deliver a message to you. He so greatly appreciates all the communications you have sent from him from the United States and across the globe. He reads all of it, and you can tell it meant a great deal to him. So our thoughts and prayers go out to Gordy and Lou in their fight. You know, I was very lucky. 21 years ago, we had done our first relay, 10 teams, $10,000, 10 music CDs. That was painful for 24 hours. We got invited to a training in Tacoma, Washington to see the flagship relay in the country. Walked into the room with 60 other relayers, and who are our coaches for the day? Dr. Gordy Klatt and Pat Flynn, the founder and mother of Relay. We were truly blessed. And what I remember most was the sharing of the ideas. We called it the passing of the microphone. And you're just filling out idea after idea after idea in your notebook, trying to find the top 3 that you could institute next year and what impact that would have on your event. It was the culture of why not. People were trying everything and anything possible to have an impact. But I do remember there was a table on the back of the room, and they didn't quite feel the love. And so about a third of the way through the training, someone had presented a great idea, and this hand goes up in the back of the room, and this woman goes, "We couldn't do that in our community." I thought, geez, that's sad, because that was a really good idea. And ideas kept flowing forth, and we hear another great idea. She's raising her hand again. That would never work in my community. And at that point, we're going, I wonder what that community is. Keeps going on and on. Someone shares this great idea. Her hand goes up again. She goes, "We most certainly won't be trying that in my community." You know who she was. She's Margaret. If you don't know who Margaret is the president of the Can't Do It Club. Can't do that, can't do that, can't do that, because that was your idea, not mine. She is the antithesis of the why notters. And I realized something about Margaret that day. Margaret feared failing. And she defined failing as trying something and not having it work out. But I realized the relayers in the room did not look at it that way. They defined failing as not trying to do something. That's the difference. So we were exposed to leadership principles that day and what it meant to be a relay leader. What were our principles, our values, those truths that we operated off of? And we used to work them into all our trainings, but over the last few years, it's just kind of slid to the side. I don't know, maybe we thought all of you understood what all that knowledge was, but we're bringing it back out again. I want to thank the 5D work group for all of their input as national volunteers into this. We hope you find something of value in this old tribal knowledge. How do we lead relay? That's the question. This is our starting truth. We are not here to manage relay events. We are here to lead the global movement to eliminate a disease. That's our purpose. We will take every tool available from the American Cancer Society to do that. Mission activities, advocacy, making strides, determination, whatever it takes. We were blessed that Dr. Gordy Klatt was an American Cancer Society volunteer, and we got Relay, the best tool ever designed to inspire and motivate communities to take up the fight. It's about a community that takes up the fight. Our vision is clear and it is simple. To provide every community that wants a relay. And in those communities, to reach every survivor and caregiver we can. All we ask as a community is that you commit to the American Cancer Society and its mission to save lives. Commit to forming a committee. Commit to bringing the passion and motivation to eliminate a disease. That's what we ask. In turn, you must reach every survivor and caregiver in your community every year. Why? Because we know Relay saves lives. We know cancer survivors that will fight to live another 3 months to walk our tracks. We know we inspire, we heal, we provide hope. It is a gift. It is a lifeline. Who would we not give that to? But here's the cold irony. If we walk into our relay season and we say for any given event that our goal is just to get 5 more teams and 20 more survivors, are we not starting out of the gate saying we're not going to try to reach everyone? Aren't we morally obligated to try to reach everyone? Now, someone I'm sure is thinking right now that it's just not realistic. One man running around a track for 24 hours wearing short shorts, leading to the largest international movement in the history of mankind, the largest nonprofit activity in the world. That is not realistic. Relayers create their own reality. We do not accept the cancer reality of today. We're creating a cancer-free world. In 6,100 events, 700,000 cancer survivors, and 4 million participants are the proof we're winning. Our approach: think annual, think long-term, think big. I don't think anybody in this room would argue with me that we operate Relay annually. All our goals, all our systems, all our structures are set up to drive Relay annually. And that's correct, because in any given year, we have to reach the most amount of people possible, raise the most amount of funds, have the greatest impact. We'll not dispute that. But here is another irony. To actually maximize your impact in Relay in any given year, you have to plan ahead. What are you putting into place, investing this year, that may not pay off in this year, but will give you the bang for the buck the next year, and the year after that? We used to operate that way. You would go out and try to recruit teams and sponsors and media, and if it came down to the point you couldn't convince them, you'd at least say to them, look, Al, you may not want to do it this year, but come out to the event, come to our opening ceremony, see the survivors walk, and let's talk. And you would get these people lined up to come out to your event, and you know what happens. They transform. They get it. They see what happens. And you got them as teams and sponsors and promoters for the following year. And then, year 2, you've maximized your relay. Long-term thinking, going big. The Tacomas, the Gwinnett's, the Southampton Beaches, the Bakersfields, the Virginia Techs of today, they inspired us. They started small, they got big. Now, does that mean we can all get that big? I don't know. Why should we draw that line in the sand? I'm going to leave that up to every community out there what they want to do, but I know this for sure. We can be the biggest not-for-profit activity in any community where we're at. We can do that. We are built on best practices. Actually, we're built on darn good ideas. Somebody shared a good idea and you heard it in a meeting. You started to write it down. Maybe you asked a few questions. You never ask enough questions. You just get enough of a general idea that you can go back to your community and implement it. You tailor it to your resources, how your community operates. You put it into play, and other people are doing that in their communities. The beauty of those darn good ideas was that you could morph them to fit how you operated. And then they start to work in multiple communities, and we go, oh, that's a best practice. And that was inspiring that people could tailor it and make it for their community. Another benefit of that was that you could hear a darn good idea or a best practice, and instead of doing those things, it would lead you to another idea. It created this brainstorming process that inspired people to own their own ideas. But somewhere along the line, a good idea was identified as a best practice, which was subsequently turned into a policy, then operationalized as a strategy, and then trained as a mandatory checklist. Now, I'm not here to say that there are not situations when this might work, but in general, this was the antithesis to our best practice culture. It was about taking the kernel of a good idea and making it your own. The joy of relay was being creative and figuring out how to solve your problems. You didn't want to go into a situation when everyone was telling you what to do. It wasn't supposed to be a second job. It was supposed to be a passion and a way of life. Value the volunteer-staff partnership. I love this quote. You couldn't tell who the volunteers were. You couldn't tell who the staff were. And you know what? It just didn't matter. The reason was they brought the same passion and motivation to eliminating the disease and supporting the American Cancer Society. There was mutual respect and trust built up through teamwork through time. They got something bigger by working together. Now, along the line, somebody decided the way to translate this was to create checklists. One for the staff, one for the volunteers. You do this, I do that. We thought maybe that clarification would lead to more trust, more responsibility. When actually what I think it led to was people not working together. We have to return to this basic leadership philosophy of relay. Empower everyone. We used to have a nationwide volunteer that just banged this drum every time we got together. Let's quote, never tell people how to do things. Tell them what to do, and they will surprise you with their ingenuity. You know who said that? General Patton. Go figure. The kernel of what inspires everybody in this room is to figure out the how to do it. But this is what happens. We've seen it in our pilots. We've seen it in our marketing research. We don't have enough conversation around what to do. We don't have a shared understanding between a chair and a subcommittee chair on what it is they're supposed to accomplish. So something goes wrong, a ball gets dropped, and someone says, we can't do that. We've got to have a checklist. We need systems in place. We can't allow failure. And so we design all our systems and support around preventing the mistake. That's an interesting process and path to go down, but here's the reality. There's always going to be the ball that drops. You can't predict all of it. You can't stop it from happening. And if you gear all your resources to stopping that, what you just forgot is you had 99 people that did you right. They hit it out of the park. They took responsibility. They created the how to do it. We need to build our systems of support for those 99 people and not worry about the ball dropping. Empower the people that are doing it right. Build relationships. If you've been in the American Cancer Society for any period of time, you've heard us talk about relationship building. But some of this seems to be on autopilot at the moment. Not sure why. Maybe we're just not talking about the basics of it anymore. The point of relationships is to value people for who they are, not what they do for you. Value people for who they are, not what they do for you. Connect with them by sharing your story of cancer and ask theirs. Make that emotional connection. And when you do that, people will walk through fire for you. We've got to return to that type of relationship building. Follow the 5 Ds, those historical best practices that have been built by relayers through time. And within each of these Ds is the 6th D, mission. But are we doing it anymore? We need to. Now, I could do a half-an-hour presentation on the 5 Ds. I'm not going to. But you notice there is one common term in all of this. Development. This was a long-term approach, not annual. We get volunteers, we develop volunteers through time. We get teams, we develop teams through time. We get survivors and caregivers. We take them from walking around a track. We get them on teams. They become team captains. They sit on our committees. It was a long-term approach to developing relay. We're in it in the long haul. I forget which relayer said it, but he said, you know what? Even after we cure cancer, we're still going to be relaying to celebrate the fact we won. Tenets of fundraising. We used to talk about this stuff a lot. I don't know, I guess we thought everybody understood it, had to work on other problems. It's time to return to some of these messages of old. Every contribution matters. It doesn't matter what someone gives. What matters is that they gave. The largest contribution I ever received in the American Cancer Society happened one afternoon. The 70-year-old woman wandered into the office. I could tell she was having a rough life. Her wool coat was falling apart. And she said she was there to make a contribution. And we were like, that's great, thanks. Glad you came in. And she goes, I'd like to make it to Relay for Life. At which point we were kind of dumbfounded because Relay had been around only 2 years, and frankly, nobody knew about it. And we were just trying to figure out, how did she hear about it? And out of her pocket, she pulls out this folded envelope. And she pours these coins on the counter, and it's 3 quarters, a dime, and 2 nickels. 87 cents. That's all she had to give. That was like me clearing out my checking account and writing a $500 check that week. And we thanked her, and was so inspiring to see somebody step up to the plate like that. It was the right thing to do. And we realized years later it was the smart thing to do because she left us her home, and her home was beautiful. You never know what people will do. Don't predetermine what someone will give you. If you ask for $5, you will get $5. Ask for 10, you'll get 10. We are not here to put a dollar value on someone's memory, someone's grief, or someone's hope. We will leave that to the contributor. Now, someone's going to say out there, I tried that before, and they just didn't know what to give. Well, the thing is, they just want to know on average what everybody else was giving so they can match that or do it better. They just don't want to embarrass themselves. So if you told them, yeah, on average, I'm getting $20 from other people if they ask, you're going to get 20 and then some. If you had started the conversation with $5, all you would have gotten was $5. Anyone can be a fundraiser. Relay is unique. And most nonprofit organizations, they're looking for niches and demographic profiles and psychographic profiles, and they're trying to figure out who's going to be the best fundraisers, and we're going to groom them through time. In Relay, we just want people with passion. We're going to treat them all the same. We're going to motivate them, and we're going to see where it goes. And in that environment, folks, miracles happen. At this one event, 2 of their top 10 fundraisers each raised $10,000 a year, year after year after year. But this is what was unique. Both these gentlemen were mentally disabled. No other group would have targeted these gentlemen as fundraisers, but when they came to Relay, they became part of a family. They knew they were being valued as individuals fighting back against cancer, and nobody was judging them one way or another. One of the gentlemen, unable to drive, would walk from community to community to community to get his contributions. He'd walk into a business, he'd tell them about Relay, he'd say, hey, you want to be a sponsor? He'd try to do the sponsor package. He'd say, you want to have a team? He'd tell them about having a team. Can you donate some money? He's asking for money. If nothing else, he was always walking out with something for his raffle basket. And he'd go on to the next town. The week later, he'd come back to the same businesses again, walk in through the door, and go, hey, have you thought about being a sponsor? You want to have a team? Do you have some money? No? If nothing else, buy a ticket for the raffle basket with your stuff in it. And they did. Those communities were so proud of him. He was their Relay guy. Those 2 gentlemen had such an impact on their event, inspired everybody to work that much harder. They showed what was possible. Have individuals, teams, and events set their goals. We cannot walk into a room and hand somebody a goal. It's like going to work. We don't need that second job. Thank you. But we do know this through research. If people set goals, if teams set goals, if events set goals, they raise more money. It works. The thing is, it has to be their choice. So how do you do that? I was at a division meeting where they had most of the chairs from their events. They asked each chair, how much do you think you can raise next year? They all wrote down on a piece of paper what they thought they could raise, and they went and they taped it up on a wall. Then a survivor came out and he gave this talk of his cancer experience, and it was one of the most gut-wrenching stories I have ever heard. And he looked at the audience and said, do you think we can do more? And somebody stood up, walked to the wall, and changed their number. And everybody followed. They all changed their numbers. It was one of those Relay moments. We thought, geez, we're on to something here. So we took it back to events to see if it would work at events. My event had been stuck around $140,000, maybe growing $10,000, $15,000 a year. We just couldn't get over the hump. We invited the teams to come for our kickoff, got most of the teams there. We said, hey, how much do you think you can raise next year? And they wrote it down, they put it up on a wall. We had a cancer survivor speak, and then she looked at everyone and said, do you think you could do just a little bit more? And somebody got up and changed their number, and they all followed. It was one of those moments. The teams came back and said they could raise $250,000. They didn't meet their goal. They raised $216,000. So we thought, you know what, let's at least try it again one more year. We went back, went through the whole process again. The teams come back and they go, we can raise $500,000. And they're screaming and hollering and hooting. And you're like, wow, what is going on here? But I'm here to tell you, they failed again. They only raised $440,000. But we thought, you know what, don't throw the towel in yet. Surely this will work at some point in time. Let's go back again. They come back and they tell us, we're going to raise you $750,000. And most of these team captains are staying through time. They know what's going on, and they're getting all pumped up. They didn't meet their goal, folks. Just $660,000. Oh, what the heck? Let's go try it one more time. $1 million. They went crazy. They failed one more time. They only raised $716,000 in a county that had 45% of the population living at the poverty line or below with no frickin' economy and not a very large population. But yet they could raise $716,000 because that's what they chose to do. See, for these people, the only goal, eliminate cancer. The fundraising numbers, steps. So we have a decision to make. Do we lead our relays as a global movement to eliminate a disease? To inspire people and motivate people to dream big, hope big, relay big, to stretch and go where they haven't gone before? Or are we here to manage our relays with checklists in hand, holding our breath, hoping we don't fail? That's our choice. At this relay, 2,000 people have gathered for opening ceremonies and are sitting in the stands. Below them are a group of Native American drummers drumming a chant that's actually a tribal cry, the gathering of the tribe, and it's echoing out across the valley. In the opening ceremonies, people will hear about the American Cancer Society's efforts to support cancer patients and their families. They will hear about Relay for Life, a global movement to eliminate a disease. They will hear survivors speak, caregivers speak, and live music. And in that opening lap, 600 cancer survivors will take the track. One of those survivors was Dale. He was battling bile duct cancer. This was to be his last relay, and this is what he thought.
We're just loving it. This is awesome. I'm overwhelmed. I am so blown away at what one community or a group of people could do to put this together. Look at these tents. But I'm telling you, the support this community's given and the Cancer Society, this has just blown me away. You know, it's the worst thing that can happen to anybody, but I look around it and all of a sudden I go, you know, if you grab the people that this has affected the most, which are the people with these tents and out here helping and putting the money in place, You know, this isn't an unsolvable problem. It's a solvable problem.
Relay for Life means hope to me. It shows me that the world is focusing on cancer. And when I see so many people coming together with a Relay for Life, it's just inspirational to realize that the world is working on a cure for cancer. And hopefully sooner than later.
When Dale got his diagnosis of bile duct cancer, nobody would have blamed him in our community if he had gone into his house, shut the door, and called it a day. He had lost his mother to cancer, his sister to cancer, bile duct cancer, and now somebody had given him that same diagnosis. But he made a choice. Maybe it was because of his 2 young kids, maybe it was because his dad was on the committee, but Dale made a choice to be a relay leader. He went to every American Cancer Society function he could get to, every relay meeting possible over multiple counties to deliver a single message to inspire people. Cancer is the best, worst thing that has ever happened to me because now I understand the value of my life. I relay for people like Dale, and I know all of you in this room have those stories as well. When I first joined the American Cancer Society as a volunteer with my family, our staff person sat us down and she said this: the American Cancer Society is here to eliminate cancer. And when we do that, we're turning off the office lights, we're canceling our leases, and we're calling it a day. And that inspired me. I thought, these people are dedicated to putting themselves out of business. They're serious about this mission of eliminating this disease. We owe it to every survivor, every caregiver, everyone we have lost to this disease to be the community Relay for Life leaders they deserve. Relay will be the thing that finishes this fight. Let's turn off the office lights. My name's Marty Coelho. I work for the American Cancer Society, and I'm proud to be a relayer. Thank you.